Hey everyone! How's everyone doing today? I am going to be working in my art journal. I'm going to be doing some mixed media stuff. I'm actually doing the mission inspiration for the month of August. Mike Deacon is actually the one who came up with this concept. I will link his Facebook page in the description if you're interested in going there to sign up to do these challenges. He does it every month. This is my second time doing it. I just found it. So I love doing these because I'm new to mixed media altogether. So it kind of helps me to know what to do, you know. But on here it gives you 8 steps that you need to follow, and it gives you a suggested color scheme and some words to inspire you by. So let's get started, shall we? I'll probably just fast forward through all of this and just do a talk over. I find that that's a little bit easier to do. So let's get started with step 1.
Okay, step 1 says cover your page with book text fragments. I have 2 books that I'm using. One is an older book, and the other one, of course, is more modern. The older book has the more yellowish, tingy pages than the white modern book. So I just tore little strips off and just started putting them on the page. I used for the first time the heavy gel matte medium. I usually use the fluid one, but I really loved using the heavy gel on this. It just gave it more tooth and held the pages better. And I also loved, like, after it dried, how stiff it made the page. I like that a lot. So I'll definitely use the heavy matte medium from now on when I'm adhering pages to my journal. I really enjoyed that. I really liked it. And I love the effect and the texture that I got after I got all the text fragments on there. Before I move on to the next step, I will cut the edges off just to make it more clean and defined on the page, and then I just fell in love with the way that it looked. I almost hated doing anything to it. Step 2 says add a thin wash of paint or gesso. So what I ended up doing is using all 3 colors, suggested colors: gray, melon for the peach, and buttermilk. I started with the gray because I wanted the page a little dark, but then I thought, well, I'll go over it with the buttermilk to lighten it up a little bit, and I thought, well, let me use a brayer rather. No, that did not work. As you can see, that made it way too light. I did not want my page that light. So I thought, well, I'll put some of the melon on. Let me see if that might be the color I'm looking for, and it wasn't. So then I was like, well, I'll just keep adding color until I get the color that I want. So that's pretty much what I did. I just kept layering the gray and the buttermilk and the melon and drying it in between the steps just to get the color that I liked. And I think it turned out to be a really pretty color in the end. Step 3 says stamp over your page with ink or paint. So I ended up using archival ink, the coffee color, and this is a Hero Arts script stamp. It's just one of my go-tos. So I used that, and then I had these cute little teacup stamps. I think I got those at Michael's, and I used those just to stamp around the pages. Step 4 says add 1 or more focal images. Well, I found this image off of the British Library. Y'all, they have thousands of pictures and photos that you can download and print out. So I just went, and this one grabbed my fancy. I was like, well, I think this would be a nice one. So I just printed it out on my laser printer and then fussy cut it out. And I adhered it with the heavy gel matte medium again to make sure that it was going to stick. And then I will go over it with some coloring because I didn't want, that's boring. So I used my Spectrum Noir first and used a brown, my dark brown color in it, just to try to put a little detail in it. And then I'll use my Le Plume watercolor, or not watercolor, but water soluble markers. And I didn't like the color, it was too red. That wasn't the brown I wanted. So then I switched to my brown watercolor pencil, and then I'll use that to color the spines of the book. And then after I color the spines, I'll use my gray Le Plume water soluble marker, and I'll go over the letters in the blocks to try to make that pop. And I again just use the water to help activate it. And then what I'll do is I will go back around with my gray Spectrum Noir alcohol markers just to try to make everything, set in to make it look like books. And then I make sure everything is dry. Then I'll use my Pitt pen in brown and give it some shadows to, make it look like there's several books there. And then what I'll end up doing is using my gray Pitt marker to go around the letters to try to make that pop a little bit too. I really liked the way that it ended up turning out. I thought it looked really cool. And then I just make sure that everything is dry. And then step, 5 says add washi tape or pattern paper strips. I usually don't use washi tape, but I did have this in the yellow, and I thought, well, it fits the scheme, the color scheme, and they had words on it, so I just tore out the words that I thought pertained to the page and adhered it. I did like the way that it turned out. I thought it turned out pretty cool. And then before I move on to the next step, I'm going to end up outlining the books and just shadowing it to set it into the page a little bit more, because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to do that after the next step. And I apologize about my head in the way for the most of this part, but I'm just outlining and doing a little bit of detail work. And then the next step, Step 6 says add texture paste through a stencil. I use the modeling paste and just add some of the gray paint to it to make it a gray color. I didn't want it to be white or black. I didn't want it to be that stark. So I thought, well, great, that's the color scheme. And I thought it turned out pretty cool. This is stencil I got from just Walmart, I think for 98 cents. And it worked really well. It's a nice, heavy, sturdy stencil. I really liked it. And then the next step, 7, add splatters, drips, or runs. I had never splattered, so I decided, well, I'm going to splatter. So I used black, white, and brown paint, diluted it a lot with water, and then splattered my little heart away. It was so messy, but I loved it, and I do love the effect. Now I know why people do it a lot, because it did, I don't know, it just does something to the page. I really liked it. Then I just take my Sharpie ultra thin tip marker and do a little bit of detail work. I felt like it needed it. The books did. And then step 8 says paint, ink, or doodle a border or frame. I take this stencil and use it as a border and use the silver pigment ink to make the border, and then I also use that ink to go over the molding paste just to make those letters pop a little bit. And then that's pretty much it for the page. Just the last step will be to stamp the date and sign it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, y'all. I really love this month's mission inspiration. I hope it inspired you. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, share it, and if you've not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, but don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I post a video. All right, y'all be good to one another, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.